taking inspiration from an existing French design to winning races, revolutionizing V-twin engines even a century later, inventing the iconic sound that many people chase today, with less than 40 units ever being produced. This makes for one of the rarest Harley engines of all time. I'm willing to bet you don't know much about this because I sure didn't. But first, in case you're new, my name's Levi. On this channel, we take a hard look and break down the brass facts of everything Harley Davidson. So if you like the sound of that, consider sticking around for future videos. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and let's set a goal of 500 likes today. I know y'all can crush it. And Merry late Christmas, everyone, or whatever you may celebrate. Hope it was a good time. This is the revolutionary history of the first Harley Davidson V-twin. Well, based on that intro, I know you already have a ton of questions. To answer them all, I have to go back even before the engine existed. The year 1906, there was a French bicycle entrepreneur named Eugene Peugeot. Sorry, I'm American, probably saying that wrong. His company was looking for a new engine in their bikes, so they turned to Zedil, I don't know. They had a solid reputation being placed in numerous Griffin bikes of the era. The engine would have a 39.5 degree piston action. It only made a whopping 3.5 horsepower. At the time, it was decent, especially since it was like 500 cc's. For the Americans out there, that's like 30 cubic inch. Speaking of America, while all this was going on in Europe, there was a lot going on in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Being a relatively new company, Harley Davidson was looking for a bigger, better engine to throw into their bikes. The original four founders had seen this design and were fascinated by it. In 1908, engineering was in full swing. They took the integral design of the Zedil Griffin engine and put their own touch on it. Not only did they manage to bump up the displacement to 50 cubic inches opposed to the 30 that was on the original, they fully engineered the design to feature a 45-degree angle. Okay, so if you don't know what that is, let's talk about it. The angle of an engine is based on the degree at which the cylinders are spread. I'm not talking about temperature degrees, I'm talking about like the protractor thing. I'm no expert or an engineer, but that's the easiest way I could explain that. Anywho, mixed with the larger engine and new angle, Harley managed to double the horsepower for a monstrous 7. That's pretty crazy. It wasn't the quickest bike, but Harley did enter into an event called the Long Island Endurance Race. On July 1st, 1908, Walter Davidson, yes, one of the original founders, would pull to the starting line on a Harley with the new V-twin. Including himself, there were 17 competitors from 10 different states. The other 16 bikes were all Indians. The engine was nowhere near the most reliable or powerful, so to everyone's surprise, Harley won first place with a perfect score in every category. Not only was this a big step for the 45 twin, but also for Harley Davidson as a company. In just being Harley's first 45 twin, that was an absolute engineering leap on its own, but this was the world's first, a staple that many would try to replicate, but only Harley could perfect. By 1909, the engine would be produced, well, to an extent. Many sources say only 27 were made, with a couple others stating upwards of 40. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to go with that 27 number. On paper, that's not a lot by any company standards, but we have to keep in mind that Harley was only 6 years old at this point. But what made this engine so special, besides being the first? The iconic potato, potato, potato sound. Though every Harley engine sounds a tad different, you can still hear it down to its roots. So if this engine was so great, why did they make so few of them? Though all around the bikes had character and power, as I mentioned before, they ran terribly and were unreliable. That's a Harley hater's favorite sentence in an argument. Production was actually halted after 27 bikes due to issues like vacuum-operated intake valves, and in comparison, engines that would come after would utilize rockers and pushrods. Now, technically, there were a couple V-twin bikes in the first couple months of 1910, but most of them were the single cylinder from the previous year. That's basically the end of this first Harley V-twin. The design would make some changes for the next generation called the F-head, but that's a whole other video. So make sure to stick around to the channel for that. Thank you all for watching. And once again, let's hit that goal of 500 likes. And if you did want to support the channel, we do have this little thing. If you click down below, there is a thanks button. It's not mandatory, but you can just send a small donation of whatever you choose. Keeps me going because this is not my full-time job, even though I edit videos 30 to 40 hours a week, so it kind of is. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching. And once again, let's hit that like goal of 500. I think that's pretty reasonable. Anyways, ride safe. But if you can't do that, ride hard.